in a Mocha Foam. When they invested the $100 million, it was seen as a percentage of their turnover. But suddenly they make their money in Naira. And exchange rate went from 400 Naira to the dollar to 1,000 plus. Now, they will have to do their calculations and say, okay, so we invested in Nigeria. The turnover now, X billion of Naira suddenly is 1/3 of the value when they invested. So you have to engage the people. You have to let them know that, well, yes, this is temporary. At some point, we will turn the corner. Rather than us pointing accusing fingers and saying, look, this is not getting more money from the common pot. We need to be productive. It's productivity, productivity, and productivity that will solve the problem for us. So for us in Oyo State, we have been having interest from outside of Nigeria. So that tells me that we're doing what is right, and our fundamentals are really, really very strong.
That's the governor there. That's the governor there. The point Governor Seyi Makinde makes is that at its core, poverty stems from productivity. People trapped in poverty simply cannot produce enough to meet their basic needs for food, shelter, health care, and education. It is a vicious circle. That is the point the governor is making. He insists that low productivity leads to low income, and this limits access to the very resources and opportunities that could improve productivity. But why is productivity so low? The reasons are varied, complex, and often interconnected. Low productivity does not occur in isolation. It's influenced by a lack of resources, poor education, and lack of opportunities. By understanding these root causes, we can begin to chart a way forward. I hope the governor, the president, senators, members of House of Assembly, chairman of local governments, I hope they are ready to chart a way forward. The program is State Affairs. You said education of a people is an ecclesiastical duty that must not be neglected.
Exactly, because I argued, again, I think convincingly, that whether you are Christian or Muslim, one thing that runs all through the holy books of these religious groups is the fact that there are continuous injunctions to educate your people, to educate the believers. Whether in the Bible, where I quoted from the book, a book in Colossians, or whether even it is in the Quran, where I argue that the first revelation that was given to Prophet Muhammad was the revelation by the angel Gabriel, according to Islamic text, to read, and that it was given to him the injunction was given to him 3 times. And if you follow Islamic religion very well, you understand that 3 means finality. So, for example, if you want to divorce your wife and you tell him, I divorce you, it's nothing. If you say it a second time, but when you say it a 3rd time, it is sealed. So, for angel Gabriel to ordered the prophet to read 3 times and to tell him that the purpose of reading is so that you can be taught by God. And I also explained the same thing in the Bible, where the Bible said that all scriptures is beneficial for teaching. So this therefore means that education is a godly mandate. It's an ecclesiastical injunction that must not be taken lightly.
So when you educate a people, you prepare them for development.
Exactly. Because you learn. You understand. Your horizon is opened.
You become innovative.
You become innovative. You become creative.
Like God.
Of course. Well, since we are made in God's image, you could say like God, but maybe not in the capacity of God, but we are made in God's image, so we could say like God.
So Africans are not thinking enough.
I think our leaders, not Africans, I say our leaders, the leadership crop, are not thinking enough, because there are people too who have not found themselves in public space, that have the capacity to think critically and to effect change, but do not have the opportunity to be in public space.
So are you creating that opportunity for yourself?
Well, I believe that I have empowered myself enough, and still doing that, in terms of my learning, in terms of how I've trained myself, that developed myself. It is not left for the people to decide whether I'm worthy enough to serve them at a higher level.
You're waiting for the people?
The people will have to consciously make that decision. I can only place myself before them.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
There is crisis in the southeast. There is crisis in the northeast. Bandits are reigning in the northwest. The Middle Belt is suffering from the crisis of banditry. The country is suffering from choking economic hardship. Is Nigeria failing?
Has it not failed already? You know, as a political scientist that you are, what are the characteristics that you need for a country to be cleared as failed? Is there anyone that Nigeria has not already encountered? I heard recently that some parts of our territory has been overtaken by bandits. That in fact bandits are collecting taxes and tolls in some local governments in Nigeria. So what other metrics do you refer to call Nigeria a failed country? The World Bank recently said that Nigeria's Naira is the worst performing currency in the world, or maybe in Africa. Inflation is run away now, 33.2% the last time I checked. If I'm wrong, it will just be a few, points off. There's hunger in the land. There's frustration in the land. Crime is at an all-time high. So what other metrics do you want to use? The only thing that will not make us say conclusively that Nigeria has not failed is that we've not become disintegrated, or we've not gone the way of Somalia.
You made the point that righteousness exalts a nation.
Exactly.
So when righteous men are in power, the people are happy.
And when evil men are in power, the people groan, says the good book.
So we have evil men in power?
I said the people are groaning.
Nzube Chukwu, God is a thinker. Development as a godly mandate. Thank you for delivering that lecture.
Thank you for listening.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
The theme for today's class is faith and development, exploring the divine blueprint for society. Faith and development, exploring the divine blueprint for society. So what do I want to do? I want us to delve into an intriguing intersection of faith and morality and societal progress. The idea of development is often framed in economic or technological terms. Yet, throughout the Bible, there is a clear demonstration of God as a thinker and planner, a divine architect of creation, whose work is infused with intentionality, wisdom, and purpose. I am using the Bible as a case study. I am not delving into the Quran because I'm still studying the Quran. I'm still studying Muslim literature. I don't want to delve into it at this time. But as you listen, know that I am a man in search for knowledge. I go into the Quran, I go into the Bible. But I'm more used to the Bible because I grew up with it. And I'm very careful of interpreting the Quran because I'm still learning. But having said that, I use the Bible as a case study, but it applies to everything, whether you are a Christian, a Muslim, or an idol worshiper. The issue here is not the religion. It is the context. I hope you understand. Now, the topic I am treating this morning stems from a lecture delivered by Dr. Chima Amadi, the voice you just heard. Dr. Chima Amadi is a political scientist. He's a political economist. He delivered a lecture recently in Imo State entitled Nzubechukwu, God is a Thinker, Development as a Godly Mandate. The lecture was thought-provoking. In the lecture, Chima Amadi makes the point. Let me read. He says throughout the Bible, God is portrayed as a thinker and planner. He says the nature of God as a thinker is deeply embedded in the biblical account of creation, showcasing divine wisdom, intentionality, and purpose. He says the divine act of creation God's perfect thinking qualities, demonstrating that the development that God initiated and that we implement at the moment is not just a human pursuit, but an act with celestial underpinnings. He goes on to quote from Genesis verse 1 to 27, saying, as beings created in the image of God, humanity is endowed with the capacity to think, plan, create, reflecting God's own nature. So this is the point that stuck with me in the lecture. I was in the hall while he was delivering the lecture. This point stuck with me. As beings created in the image